Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for Leo season, or, July, August 2026, whatever your timing paradigm is. I'm here for it and I'm here for you. I hope you're well, Pisces. I'm using the 777 deck, my Bulgarian one, for you today. And before we begin, a little bit of housekeeping. If the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that's available at the end. Links for that are in the description box below. The first link will take you to Selfie if you just want the standalone extended for this reading. If you want access to more of the extended content that I create, and there is a ton of it, you might consider coming over to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix on the Circle platform. There you can get access to all of the extended content for all of the signs every month. You get the weekly energy reading, which is anything from 45 minutes up, depending on how intense the energies are at any given point. And you can come participate in the Deccan Walk. If you've ever wondered about the crossover between tarot and astrology, the Deccan Walk is it. And for the people participating in it, I have to say it is nothing short of life-changing at this point. I'm not being dramatic when I say that. It really is changing lives. So if you join at the higher tier, you can come participate in the live classes that we run over there and get access to all of the recordings of the past classes that we've done. And to top it all off, there's also a week's free trial. So come dip your toe in. If you like it, stay. If it's not for you, then no harm, no foul. God, I think that's everything. Shall we get on to the cards? So let's just have a chat about what we're actually going to do here today, Pisces. The first thing that we're going to do is ask the most important question that we can ask in 2026, which is, where am I right now? Nothing else really is important, to be honest, other than that point of location. And from there, somewhat inspired by the Deccan Walk, actually, we're going to be looking at what may be proving to be sticky or a little bit of a challenge at the moment, and how through embodiment we can start to move forwards in a more courageous way, I think. Sorry if you can hear ducks in the background. I am the steward of many ducks, so I shut the window anyway. From there, we will ask the final question, and that is simply, what's my next step? It's the second most important question you can ask yourself in 2026. That's it. That's all we need to know. We don't need to know about grand plans for the next year or anything like that. What is the next step? So in the extended, we will build on whatever comes out here. Yeah, let's get stuck. Let's get stuck in. So where is Pisces right now, please? Whoa, there we go. We've got the sun on its side. We've got the Lovers in the upright, and one more card for Pisces. We have the Page of Wands. This is lovely. It's a lovely combination of cards, but look at this. What we have under here, we have the Justice card. Now, the sun on its side is interesting because sun's one of those cards that is actually kind of uniformly positive no matter which way it shows up. But I think what we're talking about here is orientation of consciousness, in so much as if the sun was in the upright, then we would be able to say consciously, I know which way I'm going, I know what I'm about, I know all of these things. There's something a little more ambiguous about it when it's on its side. It's kind of like I feel I'm being pulled, but I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know if necessarily I'm following the right path in doing it, but I'm putting myself out there anyway. And we can see this because of the Lovers card and the Page of Wands, right, being right here. Now, the Lovers card is a very interesting card. Yes, it does talk about union and harmony and the bringing together of people, but there's so much more going on in this card than just that. In so much as, for me, it is a card of passive manifestation. This fits in very well with the sun on its side here. There are themes of things like free will and stuff like that that come up with the Lovers card, because the Lovers card and the Devil card are actually the same card. I don't know if you've ever studied them, but they are the same card. They're structured the same. They've got the two, certainly in the Waite Smith at least anyway, this one here, they've got the same two naked people in it. But in the case of the Devil, we have people lashed around the neck and being restricted by their own fears and all those things that the devil is psychically leeching off of them. But in the Lovers card, we have the exercise of free will. Here it is here, right? And the reason why it feels to me like a card of passive manifestation is actually that it is true in both instances. Whether we're dealing with the devil or we're dealing with the Lovers card, we're dealing with passive manifestation. Because if you allow your fears to chain you, then you will passively create that toxic environment that you're not really enjoying for yourself, right? If you come at things from a position of free will and ownership and responsibility and all those lovely kinds of things, but you also allow yourself to be guided by the universe, where this passive manifestation starts to, it shows up like you putting yourself where the universe wants you. God, source, creator, whatever your terminology for it is. And so it's less about what you want and a little bit more about what the universe wants from you in the case of the Lovers card. And that's what we see here. So this fog and this ambiguity around one's next step, or even what the fuck one is doing at any given point, isn't really that much of a surprise when it seems like the universe has got the helm somewhat, right? Obviously you're participating in it and you're participating of your free will. I'm being blown this way, now I'm being blown that way. But the manifestation occurs here when one is following a path that the universe has set out for us, right? And we see the Justice card at the bottom of the deck also speaking to this. Now, whatever's happening right now, it may feel significant or it may not, but there is a flow that you're being asked to adopt, to allow. Actually, let's put it that way. To allow, that feels like it's meaningful. It feels like it's taking you somewhere, even though we don't really know where it is. The Page of Wands here is that readiness for the journey. It's like showing up and being like, yes, I'm enthusiastic, let's go. I don't actually know where I'm going. I don't actually know why I'm going there, but there's something that is pulling me along. I mean, like 2/3 of the cards here are major arcana, Pisces. This is significant in and of itself. The Justice card at the bottom of the deck says there's something that's pulling you towards your destiny here. Now, it might not be specifically, a destination, because for some of you it may be dealing with karma on things. And at this point, I want to point out that karma is a neutral force. It is not a punishment force, and I think it's misunderstood widely when it's taken like that. Karma is simply the consequences of one's actions, or one might say inactions. So on the whole, everything here feels exactly like what I would expect for a sign where the North Node is operating. Certainly at the point of recording this, I think it's still in Pisces. But it is very much getting ready to shift towards Aquarius, right? So it's like the hard work has been done here, and the North Node's going to move into a different part of your chart. So whatever placements you have in Pisces, these have been, they've had the North Node treatment. And so that North Node insatiable quality has adopted the flavor of Pisces that says we need to accept. We need to do a lot of accept, maybe surrender, maybe whatever it is, and go with the flow. And that's exactly what's happening here. There is a flow that is happening. We're missing any kind of pertinent information about what the fuck and why, but it's happening here. Tell me about this Lovers card, please. I am interested in this. We've got 3 cards here. What do we have? We've got the 5 of Wands. That's the Decan of Leo that we're in right now, interestingly enough. We've got the 3 of Cups, and we've got the 10 of Swords. Now, the 10 of Swords generally is it's given to be an unpleasant and negative card. But I mean, I taught a whole class on the negative cards in the tarot, and I called it Reframing for Depth, because I genuinely don't think that you can see it that way. It's simply experiences. And I come from a pretty informed place. Very, very familiar with the 10 of Swords. Because what we've got is something challenging belief systems. Now, what's really interesting about the way that these cards all flow together here, the Five of Wands, the Three of Cups, and the Ten of Swords, is that it feels like there's kind of a departure going on. So although these cards are coming out underneath a card that talks about union and harmony and all that kind of thing, and we've got the Three of Cups there talking about emotional support mechanisms and the people that surround you, right? The people who form, you know, your friendship groups, your family groups, even, you know, close co-worker groups and stuff like that. The Five of Wands is a card of struggle and conflict, and the Ten of Swords is reaching the limits of our cognition, of our belief system, of things that we hold. And the way that I'm reading this, Pisces, and this is really quite interesting, is that there is a departure here between what the group collectively is believing and the path that you are taking. Now, you may be struggling with this, you may be not. I would say that the presence of the Page of Wands here feels like a really, really strong draw in a particular direction that is sufficient that it probably wipes out any kind of discomfort that you have about this situation. But I do feel like you're starting to see people for who they actually are, and you're starting to see the underlying belief structures that are well, at the very least, they're not in alignment with you anymore, but I think that they're not really in alignment with the flows of energy that are playing around or rippling around the planet at the moment. I think you're tuned into that. I think other people aren't. I think to some extent, then that makes people kind of look at you sideways and go, Pisces, what the fuck are you doing? But there's a path of rightness, if I can put it that way, that you're following, even though you probably can't justify it in any way that would satisfy the people around you. Certainly not at a, you know, kind of Virgo level, producing receipts and fucking spreadsheets and all that sort of thing. It's not that kind of thing. And yet it's so important. Now, we've got this Eight of Swords at the bottom of the deck there, and it's followed by the Nine of Swords. And this does not feel to me like it belongs to you. These energies here are at odds with what is represented down here, which is, you know, anxiety, shame, mental illness, a loss of perspective, feeling stuck, feeling trapped. Like, none of these things apply to you, but they could well be applying to the people that are looking at you sideways and going, what are you doing, Pisces? And this is why it feels like this whole thing is talking about a departure, like a parting of ways between you and people who have formed part of your emotional support network. And maybe, Pisces, you've been doing the heavy lifting on that one for a little while, and whatever may be coming in that is kind of new, or whatever path it is that you are following that is taking you towards something new. Because when I don't want to get all biblical on your ass, right? But when the trumpets sound, if you can hear them, then it's time to move, right? And maybe it's not trumpets, maybe it's a siren call, or maybe, you know, it's something. It's calling you, but it seems to me that other people can't hear this. And so this parting of ways is a separation in a Three of Cups kind of sense, but it's a reunification between you and the universe, God, source, creator, and all that kind of thing, as we're seeing it in the Lovers card. You know, this feels like the start of spiritual mission kind of energies. And I mean, fuck me, if you're born under the sign of Pisces, I think that, you know, one's life is entirely almost a spiritual mission. Well, actually, you know, maybe this is part of the problem. It's actually true for everyone, but how many people actually hear the call? How many people pay attention? How many people allow themselves to feel that vibration and move towards it? I would say, on the whole, for the overwhelming majority of humans on the planet right now, it's probably considerably fewer than we would like, right? So, like I said, I don't feel like you're particularly conflicted about this. It feels like a very natural ending, and you're moving towards something that feels much more aligned with you in terms of higher purpose and things like that. So, let's have a look and see what this season is about for you. Okay, so we've got the Nine of Wands, we've got the Six of Wands. Beautiful, I love that. Talking about trumpets, Pisces, there's the Judgment card right there. Let's get another one out, please. What's going on for Pisces? Nine of Cups. Yeah, like this is actually awesome, and to some extent, Pisces, right? You're the one sign who seems to be navigating this with the most ease. Why do I say that? Well, these cards in the center are supposed to be speaking to those things that are kind of Five of Wands like, right? And so when I said at the beginning, how can we, through embodiment and courage and stuff like that, navigate through what is sticky? I mean, what this is saying to me here is, actually that stickiness isn't here, and that's the point, because we have the arrival of the Six of Wands, right? What was sticky before is no longer sticky. We have triumphed over something. And for you, with the Nine of Wands, it's centered very much around the ideas of boundaries, right? Something that traditionally Pisces has had a really big fucking problem with. Why? Well, because you're the one sign who understands that separation is an illusion, right? So Pisces is always trying to break down that illusion by creating that sense of oneness, right, and merging with people. You know, like, oh, all your human experiences that you're having, it's not that they're fake, but that there is something kind of illusory about them, like our true state is one and all together and all this kind of thing, right? Which is great, higher spiritual purpose and all that kind of thing. But when it comes to the day-to-day operation of relationships and the day-to-day operation of living in this material world, it can make things very uncomfortable for you. And there have been points in the past where you have utterly depleted yourself in carrying the people around you, right? Merging so hard that it's difficult to know what are your emotions and what are somebody else's. And that's this kind of default of being a cosmic washing machine, which is an analogy I've used before, gets a bit fucking much after a while. All right, you kind of pulling in everybody's emotions and then washing them clean and then handing them back. And there you go, like I've washed all your fucking laundry for you. And they go, you know? So a huge part of the development of a sense of self, which has been absent from you, and this is what we're trying to, teach everybody else in the zodiac, is that this is all an illusion, and actually we're, we're all souls having a human existence and whatnot, has caused problems for you. We're trying to teach it to everybody else, but we're actually trying to reduce the level at which you merge with other people, so that you can be here on this plane and actually function. Well, what this is saying to me is that you cracked it, Pisces, and I'm not sure if it's as a direct consequence of what we see playing out here in terms of your separation, right? The divergent paths that you're taking. It's not to say that you've never turned your back on anyone before, but there's something very, very clean about the way that this has happened, and there are no feelings of there are no feelings of you having lost part of yourself in the separation, even though sense of self is something that you've always had a problem with, right? It's not that you're empty now, like this is clean. There's no problem with it at all. The act of separating yourself is something that's happened very, very naturally, and it's happened because the people that you're around are now no longer on your wavelength, on your frequency, at your vibration, like whatever it is, right? And something else, something bigger is calling, and you're heeding the call. So you can put all of this down and go, Ida Chow, I'm away. Thank you. Goodbye. Thanks for the experiences, all that sort of thing, and leave. Now, I like that. I like that because it does feel like you're rather swimming through this flow at a point where it's about to get very, very loud. I'm kind of mixing up my metaphors here a little bit. I think Leo season is where we start to hear things get loud. Does it mean that the intensity ramps up? Yes, possibly it does, but it's more in response to the noise than an actual cranking in the intensity itself, right? So if you try and make sense of the noise, you're exposing yourself to some pretty noisy stuff, right? The pretty loud stuff. But if you allow yourself to flow in the direction of wherever the universe seems to be trying to take you right now, you don't really have to pay attention to it. And so the point where you're at now, even though you don't really necessarily know where you are or where you're going, I that is kind of secondary to the fact that you can flow, you can go, you can move. Why? Because there's nothing restricting you. Like the kind of ephemeral, nebulous, kind of fog-like merging that you have done in the past with people would have acted as a tether, and that's no longer present. It's not here. Like, you've nailed boundaries. You know when it's time to go, you know when it's time to stay, and you know the spectrum of everything that's going on in between. So there's nothing about you that is stuck and trapped. There's nothing about you that is panicking about what is going on, in whatever sense that it is. But you're not really prepared to have your space polluted with people who are of that mindset. And so you're away, right? And this is huge because now we've had, two of my trifecta of big life-changing energies showing up, and that is the Wheel of Fortune, the Justice card, and the Judgment card. You've had two of the three. My rule is generally if two of the three turn up, then we know that there's something big going on. And we also know that you seem to be being led somewhat by the nose, or led by some sort of trail, or even just kind of taken along with the flow to a place of passive manifestation in terms of where the universe wants you for what happens next. And it's not where you were. It's great. It's fine. Because the Judgment card here is a card of rebirth, but it is a card of specifically how we choose to change things. And that's why our decision-making process and the extent to which we will allow ourselves to stand behind that is so very important when it comes to having any kind of authority and sovereignty over our own existence. Now, that's something to me that I think Pisces has eschewed for a long time. Not necessarily wanting to have the authority and sovereignty over their own life. Why? Because separateness is an illusion, and why should you even attempt any of that when you could just flow along in the emotional soup of lots of people, right? Which is, to some extent, a more natural representation of what the soul soup actually is, right? But the presence of the Nine of Cups, which is a Pisces card there, is talking about how you are moving towards what is distinctly yours. The Nine of Cups for me is a lot about how we manage our own emotions. And the one thing that we might say, Pisces, is that when you're in the soup of other people's emotions and you're not shutting those doors, really I think the only place that you can really occupy where you would be actively doing a thing is in the picking up of everybody else's emotional dirty laundry and sticking it into your cosmic washing machine and going, accept, surrender, clean yourself, wash yourself, purify yourself. Here, I've done it for you. Except when we arrive at now, where you understand that your thoughts and your feelings and your desires and your highest goals, hopes, dreams, and aspirations actually are rather important. Still illusory, yes, but distinctly yours, uniquely yours, and you are not required to take anybody else's stuff on to follow your path. We've got the King of Cups here, and I like this. I like this a lot because it feels like a major act of love that you have performed here. not just in separating yourself from people, right? So there's an act of love to yourself and your own soul, your own sense of self here, but actually to move yourself away from those who are in that denser vibration is actually performing an act of love to them too, because what you're not doing is trying to deprive them. I don't think that you've ever done this consciously, but depriving them of the agency to work through their own shit themselves, right? If you've got a cosmic washing machine on hand who will go around and pick up all the laundry and do it for and just present it to you, like, why the fuck would you go to the effort of picking up your own shit and putting it in your own washing machine and then sitting there and watching all the dirt come out of your own fucking soul, right? Why would you do that? You wouldn't. So from a bigger perspective, like I said, you've performed a beautiful act of service for these people that you've left behind, but you have, more importantly, performed an act of service to yourself. This feels like a game-changing kind of energy here, and it continues through August, so which is really, really interesting. Even though you don't know necessarily where you're going or why you are where you are or what's happening or any of these things, there's a thread, and it's more than a thread. It feels like a good solid rope that you're just following hand over hand over the course of Leo season just to see where it is. And the guiding principle should simply be this: are your boundaries good? Are they in place? The answer is yes. Remember that you need to maintain them, though. It's not sufficient to simply put them up. They've got to be maintained. Sometimes they're a little bit dynamic, right? But also following what feels aligned with you rather than what is better for the people around you, because Pisces will, historically has, always put their own needs, wants, desires, hopes, goals, dreams and aspirations to one side to help enable those around them. And that's not what the mission is this time. And I really do feel like you've heard this trumpet call and you're like, okay, well, this is it. I'm away. I'm off to do this thing that I'm doing. But you're consciously choosing it. Now, we have a solar eclipse happening in Leo in August the 12th. And I think it is, I'm not sure if it falls in Leo season. I think we're actually into Virgo season when we have a lunar eclipse happening in your sign. Now, a lunar eclipse is a closing down of a story, and it seems remarkably on point that you should be moving through this kind of energy in this kind of way, ready to close the door on the way that you have been before. It just feels like it beautifully fucking elegant in the way that it's turning up here, Pisces. And the point that I'm trying to make here is not that August is about themes of separation and loss for you, which somehow you're managing to tolerate. It's more that the boundaries are what allow you to mix with more people. That actually makes you more effective at whatever it is that you're doing, right? When you can be amongst people in a way that is protected almost, right? But I do think that there is something about the way that Leo season is showing up for you, which has a lot of noise going on over here and a certain level of obliviousness to it within you as you allow yourself to drift in a slightly different direction, following what feels meaningful and purposeful for you. It's like you found a way to extricate yourself beautifully from all of the chaos, understanding that it's only really chaos if you're trying to participate in it and understand it and take a side in it and all these kind of things. If you're like, that's just noise coming from the Leo and Aquarius axis right there, which is always full of sound and fury, right? And I'm going to go off over this way, over here, and do this thing. It's a beautiful extrication, Pisces. It really is. Tell me, what is the next step for Pisces, please? So we have the Strength card. There's Leo again. We have the Queen of Swords, Libra. have the Two of Cups with the Two of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Now, that's interesting because that is a state of people who cannot see or won't see or refuse to see. And maybe this is an energy that is, pretty strong in the people that you have pulled away from. But the next step here actually feels like it's it feels like there are more people involved, but these are new people, right? Here we have the Two of Cups. We've got an alignment going on here. So this is people who are much more of a mind such as you hold, rather than the people that you were with before. And there's something about the way that the Strength card is implying this growth of you, right? This increasing strength of you in amongst this chaotic and very noisy backdrop, right? That is positioning you to be able to speak to people who are ready to hear what you have to say. Now, like I said, the Two of Swords is often a card of people who can't see, won't see, refuse to see. It's sometimes a card I've referred to as willful blindness, but it's a little bit brutal as an interpretation, because our subconscious mind screens things off for, it believes, our own protection. And to some extent, that's exactly what happens. It becomes a coping mechanism where we cannot see deeper emotional truths, because to do so would absolutely destroy our ego and all those kind of things, right? So we get these kind of screens that get put up, and the things that we can't see. But I feel like the people that you are meeting this month, Pisces, whilst this may be operative, they are open, available, and ready to be shown where this is happening in their lives. Why? Because the Queen of Swords is processing information. And it feels to me like this is something that you can see so easily. It's almost not even, difficult for you at all. And the difference between these people and these people that you've left behind is the openness. It's not open here. These people were not open to it. So the same circumstances may exist in terms of can't see, but there are seekers here who are looking to see. And I feel like the universe is just going to put you in the right place at the right time and introduce you to the right people, because these are people who don't know what they don't know. They can't see what they can't see, because they didn't know that there's something that exists beyond the screen, right? They're looking at the limitations of existence, of thought, of feeling, all this sort of stuff here, and they don't realize that there's something sitting beyond it, but they're open to the idea that there may be something that sits behind it. And here you come. Like, the Three of Cups is behind this Two of Swords here. And so this sense of you moving into a new community that kind of gets it, they may not get it to the fullest extent that you do, but certainly they're open to the idea, is seeing you situated in amongst a new group of people that you appear to be guided towards. Now, whether or not this is you being of service to a group, or you being an agent of change, a catalyst for change in some people, which you might well be, it doesn't feel like there's something here that is asking you to be responsible for other people. Like, we've spent a long time working out how not to do that, right? You don't have to be everybody's cosmic washing machine. But there's something about the strength in the way that you show up here that is a catalyst for change for some people. And one must expect, because there is a Two of Cups, that there is a reciprocal exchange of something coming through for you, which is to say, there's something that you get in return here. This is a mutual assistance, a mutual input, a mutual understanding, an alignment, where there are things in your head that you understand that you can share, but there is something that comes back to you for this too, which is really, really interesting. This is a totally different reading to all of the other signs for this period. If nothing less than because you're not struggling. I hate to say, you're not struggling at all. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, This has the hallmarks of a teacher, a leader, a guide about it. Not standing on a soapbox and proselytizing, but just being in the right place. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? I'm starting to wonder if you are the teacher, but also simultaneously the student. It must be wild to be a Pisces. Like, I always think this. I think I'd like to have a go for a day. I don't know if I'd make a very good Pisces, but just as an experiment to see what it feels like to have that kind of stream of input coming in. Absolutely fascinating. So, do you know, this is a big thumbs up for August for you. This feels right. And there isn't really any other way to put it. It just feels right. And keep following that sense of rightness, because wherever that leads you, it's exactly both where you are needed and those things that you need appear. So, I'm going to go to the extended now, and you're very welcome to join me over there if you would like to do so. You can do that on Selfie, you can do that on Circle. I would be delighted to see you in either place. But we're going to dig into this a little bit because here's the thing. Given that I was talking about trumpets and stuff, and then we get this judgment card, it's very trumpet laden. I actually want to dig into this, the essence of this judgment card here, and see what's sitting behind it, because we know that there is a strength in your decision-making process now, and it is guided. I think that it's fair to say it is being guided. But what I'd like to dig into is whether there is one big decision or a series of small decisions, and what, if we can get some sense of what that's about. Now, I don't want to take away what is spiritually powerful about the space that you're in at the moment, which is that you are trusting and you have faith, even though you don't know the details of it. Like, I don't want to undermine that by giving you details and then you being like, oh, actually, I don't like that very much. I'm not going to go that way. Because it's something really special that you are following here. But given that, I don't know, that lunar eclipse is coming up toward the end of August, would it be the 26th? It probably would be the 26th, which would put it into Virgo season. I don't know. Curiosity killed the cat and all that kind of thing, and I am terminally curious, but there's something behind that, and I'd like to know what it is. So, like I said, I'm going to leave it here. Know that I love you all very, very much, and good work. This is job well done, Pisces. Right, take care, and I'll see you soon.